G'day everyone, my name is Tom Craig and you're listening to my podcast, The Help Side, where we speak to some of the most recognisable names in world hockey and get an insight into who they are, what they're about and what makes them tick. Now if you like what you hear, feel free to follow our socials at The Help Side on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. We'd absolutely love that. Now today's guest burst onto the international hockey scene in 2014 and has since mesmerised defenders and spectators alike with his skill and speed. Hailing from Wollongong on New South Wales South Coast, Flynn Ogilvie has been through a lot in his journey to 109 games for Australia, including a Commonwealth Games Gold and a berth at the World Cup, both in 2018. For our very first live Help Side chat, which is very exciting, we're bringing you this interview in two parts, this being the first of which, Part A. In this part, Flynn talks about what it's like to grow up in a family of 6 sibling hockey players and takes us on his journey from playing juniors in the Gong to a whirlwind move to Perth in order to vie for a spot at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. We then talk about things he's learned in overcoming a serious injury which put him out for the better part of a year. Now, Flynn's a ripping lad and speaks very plainly about the highs and lows of living in a high-performance environment, and I hope you enjoy the help side of Flynn Ogilvie.
Here come Australia, pull back, cracked in, as easy as you like for Ogilvie.
Hayward slides it in, stolen by Ogilvie. Oh, what a shot on the reverse. Joyce didn't see it till it had beaten him.
Brad, head up, pulls it back, finds Anderson. Anderson drops it out. On the reverse stick goes Flynn Ogilvie! And it's 2-0 Australia.
Flynn Ogilvie, help side, thanks for joining me. First face-to-face interview, actually.
I'm on it.
And to be fair, I wish we were doing this over a beer, but because we have training in an hour, waters and coffees will have to do. First question, we're back in Sydney for, obviously, COVID has cooked the DTE, etc. And we're back. How's that been? It's a big shift?
Yeah, COVID screwing everything up basically, but the one positive was we got to come home for a big chunk, and we love New South Wales. I know you love being back in Sydney. I love being in Wollongong. So yeah, that was great. That was exciting. First 2 months was awesome, and then I started to get a little bit bored, not doing too much. So now just trying to find ways to stay entertained.
Yeah, true. And everyone back in Sydney, or big family, one of 6, I believe.
One of 6. Everyone. Ailey just moved home, who was in Perth with me. But my oldest brother's still in New Zealand. Yeah, so okay. He's the only one not back in New South Wales.
Busy household.
Busy. Oh, I'm staying with my girlfriend Katie, who
Yep.
lives in Wollongong.
Yeah.
And mum and dad are in Winona, which is just north of Wollongong. And Ellie and Orchard in with them, with their new baby and Kevin until they find a house. So
Kevin being
it is a busy household.
The dog.
The dog that's
famous.
Yeah.
Notorious.
Everyone knows
Kevin. Kevin, he's a good boy. How's that work? Being like living in Perth, obviously a lot of your family back in the East Coast. I know you're a proud Wollongong boy. There was a stage there where you had the I love the Gong or we love the Gong sticker on your stick, which people might have seen. Is that still there?
Not still there.
Why not?
I think FIH brought in a rule
that
you couldn't have stickers, but also just faded out. It was tough to get a We Love the Gong sticker in Perth.
Yeah, true.
So.
True. Pretty exclusive market. How does that work? Living in Perth, you've been in Perth for a long time. Probably moved at the end of 2014. How'd you feel about that? Because it was pretty quick. Like I moved over at the same time as you. And it was kind of like we had AHL, and then we were invited over to a camp, and then all of a sudden, like we were almost there forever. So
yeah.
how'd that paint that picture for us?
Yeah, it was quick. I think for us. I'm not sure about you, but I never went to a VAA, which was sort of like when you visit from a different state to get used to training. So I never went to one of them. Didn't really know what to expect going to Perth. Luckily, we had that time in November, December where we got to train and play some games, get a bit used to it before moving over. But yeah, it was really quick. I don't think I knew how big it was when we moved. I was 21, didn't really know how much I'd miss my family and stuff like that, and probably didn't miss them to the extent that I do now when you get older and everyone starts to have kids and stuff, and you know you're missing out on a lot being over in Perth. So I think as the years went on, I started to miss home more than at the start. At the start, it was just exciting to be over there, doing what you want to do training, playing for the national team. But then as you get older, you start to realise you're missing out on certain things.
Yeah, true. And it happened pretty quickly. I mean, like, there wasn't a lot of time to really think about it at the start. Is that your recollection of it?
Really quick. We went over in the end of 2014 and played those games, but still wasn't confirmed whether we would be in the squad for the next year. So then got the call from, I think it was POS, saying that I forget what they called it, that player in the development squad, but a scholarship.
Oh,
so
I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. So not technically in the national squad, but training with the national squad.
Yeah.
And then, I think it was about a month or so.
Yeah.
I remember talking to a couple of people saying, not sure whether I want to go over, considering I wasn't getting paid.
Yeah.
What everyone else was getting paid, but in the end, would have been silly to turn it down.
Yeah. Wait, that was at the start of 2015?
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Me and Beltsy.
For the whole year?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So you didn't get paid at all that first year?
No, we got paid.
We
didn't get the DAS.
Oh.
We got all the Hockey Australia payments.
Gotcha. Jeez, I had no idea. That's crazy. You didn't work either, did you?
Didn't work.
Like, you moved in straight with Orch, who's Simon Orchard, your brother-in-law now.
Yeah, him and Ellie, who's my sister.
That was good?
Yeah, that was great. I think it would have been much harder if I didn't move in with them. Ellie, being my sister, made it easier, not missing family as much. And Orch, being part of the squad as well, made it a lot easier. I think I still am quite a shy person. So moving in with him made it really easy to just get amongst the group a bit. I think if I moved over by myself or with some of the younger guys, I don't think I would have been as outgoing. So he brought me along to all the events and even played in the same club team as me, so he introduced me to those guys as well.
Yeah, that's good. So
it made it a lot easier.
Yeah, okay. I was actually doing some background research. There's not a lot, admittedly, on hockey players. I say this to everyone, but you can find something. And you mentioned him being your hockey hero in this FIH player profile interview, which the listeners are now familiar with, because that's where I get 95% of my information, so it might be wrong, but...
I've heard some of the stats you've pulled off this FIH player profile. Jerry's ones were great.
Jerry's got good stats. He's been accused of having not great stats, but he's got good stats. Orch hockey hero. Is that something that you kind of developed later, or is that true?
I wouldn't really say I had hockey heroes growing up. I just really enjoyed playing hockey, but if there was one, it probably would have been Orch. Just he was so close to our family. Got to know him a bit.
Yeah.
When I was younger, he didn't coach me. He coached against me at a talent camp.
Oh, really?
In a possibles probables game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Butters was my coach, and then Orch was the other team's coach.
Seriously.
So yeah, got to know him a fair bit, and he's quite a fun guy. So yeah, it was good fun spending time with him as a young kid, and then getting to live with him.
Yeah, okay. And he played similar position to you as well.
Yeah, I like to sort of see similar games, sort of like you as well. We speed through the midfield, so that was his strength. So like learning a lot from him with that sort of stuff was really good. Yeah,
and there's a bit of when I first moved over, I moved in with Matthew Swan. There is a little bit of a culture of moving in with older players and that sort of thing. Why do you reckon that is?
I have no idea. I think Hockey Australia encourage it just so that younger guys feel more welcome, but it should be encouraged if it's not encouraged, because it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have stayed there if I moved over by myself.
Yeah. Someone to kind of show you the ropes and that sort of thing. So the team, when you moved over, it was kind of like the back end of that, I guess, kind of golden era of modern Australian hockey anyway. I mean, that was probably the most dominant team in 2014, like the World Cup. We talk about it a fair bit, but they wiped all the other teams off the park, and that was kind of the group that you were moving into when you moved over. As a 21-year-old, what was that like?
Yeah, I probably didn't think about it enough when I moved over, but they were very dominant. And I think we took it for granted moving over how dominant the team was, because they'd done it for, 4 years but not at an Olympic Games. So looking back, it was a very good team. They lost a couple of guys like Rob and who else left that team?
Rob Hammond, DY,
yeah.
Linda Young.
So they lost a couple of guys, but still the core group was still there. And guys like Jamie and Eddie still playing and stuff like that. It was an incredible team. So I think I was just a bit naive going in and didn't realise how good the team was. I wasn't really expecting to play much, but yeah, I was not too in awe of what was going on when I probably should have been.
Yeah, okay. Is that like something that you reflected on later, or was it kind of like, did you ever look around and you were like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should be here, or it felt pretty good?
I think you always have those thoughts of whether you should be there. But I think my mindset sort of played it down going in because as I said, I wasn't part of the national squad technically, so I wasn't really expecting to play many games. So I was just going to train and see if I could get better and test myself against those guys.
Yeah.
So going in, I didn't really expect much, so I wasn't really thinking about how good they were.
Yeah.
But then as it got closer to 2016 and you're trying to make the Olympic team, and you start to think about who you're going up against.
Yeah.
It was quite daunting.
True. I remember when I first moved over, I was talking to Swanee and he was just saying, like, in the lead up, he said Olympic year is different, and it just feels different. It's a hard year, and it's a really good, challenging, rewarding year. Is that kind of the experience you had leading into Rio, or what was that like?
Yeah, it was a good year. At the start of the year, I don't think I expected to make the Olympic team, which was just because I was young and it was my first year in the actual national squad. But then as we got closer, we went to an Aslan Shah, we went to a Champions Trophy. So I was playing games, which I wasn't really expecting to, and then that got my confidence up, and then the Olympic team got announced. I wasn't in it. And yeah, it sort of hit me harder than I thought it would. Had a week or two there where I was just really flat. I think some guys were even flatter, but it's expected when you're missing an Olympic team. I just wasn't expecting that because at the start of the year, I wasn't putting myself in the team, really.
Yeah, okay. And we mentioned before you have a family of 6, but you're quite close to your family as well. And as I said, Ely was over there, brother-in-law Orch was over there, probably consider him family. And I know you're close with Heath and your older brother Kurt, who also played like high-level hockey in their own right. They both played AHL and both played for Australia in the indoor, which we'll get to later. But how's that with hockey and missing out on teams or making teams or something like that? Having a big hockey family, does that help?
It's actually quite funny, I think, because I don't think we talk much hockey when we're together. I probably talk the most with Kurt. He's more of like a thinker around the game and enjoys the strategy and what teams do in games. So I talk it a bit more with him, but as a whole family, we don't really talk too much hockey, I don't think. But I think that's good because with 6 of us all playing hockey, if we talked hockey, we'd probably get sick of it really quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, growing up, we always played together. I remember going down to the park where there was a turf wicket cricket pitch, and would sort of tear it up a bit, and the groundsman wouldn't be happy with us, kick us off a few times.
Real turf? Like
grass.
Manicure, okay.
Like he's worked hard on this pitch. Yeah. And we're just...
There's this mob of Ogilvies just running amok.
Put some cones down and just going crazy on his grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're pretty competitive, but when it's not hockey, we're not really talking about hockey.
Yeah, okay. Is that what it was like growing up? So when you were pretty young, you started when you were 5, I think.
Yeah, I think I was 5.
Yeah.
My mum and dad never played.
Yeah, okay.
My oldest brother started when he was in his teens, I think.
Scott?
Yeah, Scott. So yeah, we've all got him to thank. One of his mates dragged him along to a training and he liked it, and then the rest of us joined in.
Yeah, okay.
If he didn't start playing, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
I might be playing cricket. Dad liked cricket a bit.
It's weird to think about.
Dad liked rugby league, but no chance I'm playing rugby.
You reckon? Not that you don't have the physique for it?
Look, I could probably put on a few more kilos and maybe play, but...
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we're heading into the gym after this, so maybe we can... It's not too late.
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
I can't put on kilos.
Absolutely. That is true. You've tried.
I've tried.
Often.
I had a race with Beltsy to 80 and I hit 75.
75 is max, all-time max?
All-time max, 75. Beltsy hit 80.
All-time low?
Oh, no idea.
Like, obviously excluded. Once you've kind of hit like 22, 23, like in the last couple of years.
I don't think I've dipped below 70.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm very consistent.
That is consistent, yeah. A lot of people would probably be glad to have that problem. So why, so Scott started, played hockey, you all kind of tagged along and always at the University of Wollongong? Yep. Just the local club decided to give it a go.
Don't know why we went to University of Wollongong.
Is that the closest club? You grew up in Woonona, or?
Grew up in Woonona. There was no clubs in the northern suburbs of Wollongong.
Yeah.
So it's either uni or Fairy Meadow, which is similar sort of area.
Yeah.
So no idea why Scott went and played for uni,
but
he did, and it's a great club.
Yeah.
Whenever I go back, it's always good going to the social events.
Yeah.
They're a uni club, so they do some good social events.
Yeah.
Probably can't talk too much about those.
All right, you talk about whatever you want. You talk about whatever you want. And so you playing juniors, did you ever get to play with Heath? And because obviously hockey, like, you know, the younger talented players typically like play up and play like 5 years of under 17s or something like that. Did you get to play with Heath and with Kurt? Probably would have been a bit too old, would he?
Yeah, Kurt was too old. Played with Heath a lot. I think I started in Minkies playing field. Everyone plays field in Minkies. But then when Heath went to under 11s, they needed a goalkeeper. I jumped in goals.
Okay.
So my actual hockey career started as a goalkeeper.
Right.
And I think I was okay.
Not too bad.
I was really small though. So it was probably good that I was playing behind a very good team.
Yeah. Didn't get a lot of work.
Didn't get a lot of work, and that's probably why I started playing in the field, because I got bored.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then when I was actually under 11's age, took up field.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Then played with Heath. I think I played with him almost in every age group.
Yep.
Played up in 13s, 15s and 17s when he was playing.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And there's a big contingent from Wollongong who come up and play in the Sydney comp as well, and it seems that everyone kind of gravitates towards Moorbang. It seems like a pretty hectic schedule. I mean, you play Saturday in Sydney and then you guys play Sunday in Wollongong. Does that kind of... I always wondered, like, I grew up in Sydney, so driving to training wasn't too bad, but you obviously have to drive, and a lot of the really good hockey players in New South Wales in particular come from the country. There's a lot of driving involved.
Yeah, I don't think I realised how much driving was involved until I went to Perth.
Yeah, okay.
Because now when I come back, if I tried to play Saturday and Sunday, I don't think I could.
It's a stink.
I'd probably have to prioritise playing in Sydney.
Yeah.
Over Wollongong, which is unfortunate, but the driving's just too much.
Yeah, okay.
And also losing your Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Is a bit too much.
True. And quickly, your siblings also, we mentioned, played representative hockey. And fair to say there's probably been an Ogilvie in an underage state team there would have been a 10-year period where there would have been 2 or 3 or 4 or however many Ogilvies in the team. How was that with your parents balancing sending all you guys away to hockey camps and taking you all to training and those sorts of things? It's a big family, a lot of commitment.
I actually have no idea how they did it. No idea. And I didn't even notice they were taking it front row when I was younger.
Yeah.
You just sort of go along and play. But yeah, looking back, even just travelling for myself for hockey now, I couldn't imagine doing it for 6 people.
It's a big effort.
It's huge. And especially hockey, you have to go all random places.
Yeah.
You have to go out to like Orange, Dubbo, Wagga, Taree.
Lots of driving.
Not many things are in Sydney or Wollongong.
No, exactly.
So yeah, they would have clocked up some Ks in the Toyota Tarago.
Absolutely. And they still do, actually. I mean, not the Tarago per se, but Mike Ogilvie is definitely a mainstay in especially Aslan Shah tournament. And most hockey tournaments really, like Mike will just kind of pop up and he follows you everywhere you go, and Penny as well. Very well
Mike
taken.
must have a relationship with the Sultan.
Surely. He's there every single year.
For one of the worst tournaments to come to, he's there regularly.
I love Aslan Shah. I think it's such a fun tournament. It's pretty cool.
It's a fun tournament to play in.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to see for spectators.
Yeah, well, other than some good hockey. There's actually some very good bird watching in Ipoh, actually.
If there's one thing I can tell you, Mike isn't interested in.
He's trying to
It's bird watching.
That's funny. Okay, let's go back to Perth. We spoke a little bit about what it was like when you first moved over. Challenging, but good to have Orch there. Nowadays, let's just try and get a snapshot of what it's like. You've been there for a long time. I'm sure that kind of went pretty quickly. I know for me, it's kind of like all of a sudden, we've been there for like 6 years, which goes really quick. What's it like over there?
When you first move over, it's great. You're just hanging out with your mates all the time. Not too many worries. You're probably doing a bit of uni or something like that. So yeah, it's good fun. You're going to the beach, you're training, doing what a young guy does.
Yeah.
And then as you get a bit older, you realise that you probably need to start taking life a bit serious. And you got to try and whether it's continuing with uni, putting more work into that, or maybe trying to find a job or something, it gets a bit more stressful because everyone knows hockey's not the most well-paid sport.
Yep.
We get paid decent amount, but at some point you got to start looking into a career outside of hockey. So that's when it starts to get a bit stressful. And knowing that Perth's not your home, it gets a bit harder there, because whether you want to take up a career in Perth and stay away from your family for longer, or wait till you come home, or maybe balance it each way, gets a bit harder. Yeah,
for sure. And when you spoke earlier about kind of growing a little bit older and feeling that distance a little bit more, was there anything in particular that made you feel a little bit further away from home in Perth recently?
Obviously having a girlfriend that lives in Wollongong makes it harder, but she's going to move over for the next year, which is exciting.
That's cool.
But also just when your family starts to get a bit older and your brothers and sisters are having kids and you're missing out on all that sort of stuff, that gets a bit hard. You're missing birthdays, just family gatherings. You're always getting a FaceTime or something, which is still good, but you'd rather be there. Yeah, true. And with I hear what you're saying about, in the sense that while you're in the high performance program, like there's always something to focus on. Like you could focus on hockey kind of 24/7, like that's possible, and some guys are really good at doing that, but again, it can be a little bit distracting maybe from the fact that like once it ends, there's a lot of life left to be lived. So what are you doing in that space? You're studying, you finished studying, and what are you doing? So I've graduated Bachelor of Science, major in exercise science in 2017, I think it was. Then I tried to find some work in that sort of space for a bit, and it was just really hard with hockey, because a lot of that stuff's early morning or late over work in that, and that's when we train. So that got a bit hard. So I started to look at what else I could study away from that. I actually did half a semester in speech pathology. Oh yeah. Didn't love it. No, it wasn't for me. Yeah, okay. Gave up after a few weeks. Yep. And then went into medical sonography. Okay. Which is, best way I describe it is, when babies, if someone's pregnant, doing a little probe with the gel on the belly. Yeah. It's that, but for everything. Ah, right. Okay. I didn't know that. No. Well, I knew that was that, but I didn't know that you did that. That was weird. Doesn't Katie do that? She does a very specific version of it. She does she does vascular, which is arteries and veins. Yeah, sure. And you're just doing general? General. Right. When did you start She got me into it. 2017 you started? Started it, the second half of 2017. Yeah, okay. Do you like it? Yeah, it's interesting, but the system is a bit messed up. What do you mean? So I've done the first half of it. Yep. Now I need to have a placement to continue doing it. Right. And placements are hard to come by. Yes. Because no one wants to take on a student that doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah, I could imagine. There's a shout out to anyone out there who knows a spot for Flynn to do some medical sonography. Yeah, so it's not ideal to do with hockey. No, absolutely. And you're studying over in Perth? Uni SA, actually. Uni SA? Online. Ah, nice, okay. Okay, easy. Nice one. Your new hometown. Yeah, almost my new hometown. Yeah, my parents have recently moved to Adelaide, so I've been told I'm currently from Adelaide. Okay, so that's good. Was there a time where, like, studying, obviously it was good for you because you were already studying when you came into the program and it was kind of easy to keep going. Was there a time where you were thinking, like maybe just focus entirely on hockey, or study? You always knew that you had to do something else? I always wanted to do something else away from hockey, except for maybe at the start of this year, where we were training to go to Tokyo, which I then deferred uni. Yep. One, because I needed a placement, which was never going to happen. Yep. And two, just to focus on hockey for 6 months and see how it goes. Give it a crack. Yeah. But then COVID happened, and now I'm stuck in New South Wales with no uni to do. So how funny things have changed. Like if this was a few years ago, then you'd be cheering. You still had uni to do. Everyone, it gets hard. I have to say, it gets hard when, like I know initially moving back, like you go back and everyone's still at uni, so you can always see your mates and everyone's kind of around, and then all of a sudden people just start getting jobs. Yeah, and jobs. They're just the worst thing ever. People need to just be unemployed like me and just hang out with me all the time. I agree. Right now, like we're doing this at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. Sorry to interrupt. Now, if you missed it last week, we spoke to 2 times and reigning female World Player of the Year, Ava de Goede, about her stellar career, and she was brilliant.
And this is just one of the stories from one of her 3 Olympic Games. Check it out. You climbed that metaphorical mountain, like it was New Zealand, right, in the semi-final. You beat them and then on to play Argentina, who you'd lost to in 2010, just a couple of years earlier. Did that make it more special playing Argentina, or what were the feelings like going into that game? Because you won quite convincingly in the end. It was 2-0.
Yeah.
What was that
I
game
remember
like?
that it was actually funny, but I remember when we played our semi-final against New Zealand before they played their semi-final. And in the Olympic Village, Argentina was staying at the other side of the little street that we were at. So they were actually right there. And I remember that we were sort of like sleeping in our beds, and they came back from their semi-final and they were like making these sort of like wolf sounds, like "Aroo," and then they were like, "Naomi, lead away, Ellen, like we're coming for you." And we heard them screaming that on the streets, and we were like, "Are you actually kidding me that you're doing?" But that's their passion, and that's what they do, and that's what they feel that they probably had to do. But I think from that moment on, because every single one of us heard that, we're like, no ways, we're gonna get you now. Like, there's no way you're gonna win this by like trying to influence us like that, or trying to like get us out of our game like that. And I think from that moment on, everyone was like, this is it, we're not gonna lose this game. And I remember that feeling again, a feeling so strongly that you're not gonna lose it. This is gonna be our game. Even before we started it, we knew we had won.
More of that from Ava in episode 10 of The Help Side. If you missed it, go back and have a look. You will not be disappointed. Now, back to Flinno. All right, I want to talk a little bit about adversity. You played 109 games for the Kookaburras now, but it wasn't smooth sailing. You had a really bad injury in 2017, I think. So that was kind of after Rio. A lot of the team kind of moved on, and you're more or less a mainstay in that kind of centre half DM role, and playing some really, really good hockey. And then did you hammy? Do you want to just talk about the lead up to that and that incident?
Yeah, well, I think most of my career's been pretty smooth. I haven't missed out on too much or injured myself much. Had a few small niggles, and so I think I was pretty lucky up until 2017. So yeah, I was missed out on the Olympics in 2016, which was quite hard, but then a lot of the guys moved on, which made space for me to try and cement my spot, which I thought I was doing at the start of 2017, end of 2016, start of 2017. I was playing some of the best hockey I thought I'd played, and just playing pretty free, not really worrying too much, and then bang, the hammy gets torn off the bone, which was, I didn't really know what to do with it, because as I said, I hadn't injured myself much. It was pretty tough to start with, but then all our medical stuff was pretty good. They got me straight into for a scan, so I saw a very good surgeon, and he put it back on. And then I was in a brace for 6 weeks. I think it was 6 weeks, where I couldn't do anything. Katie came over to visit in that time, which was good. Got me out of the house a bit. Kept me entertained, and then basically started my rehab for 9 or 10 months.
Long time. So you actually did your hammy. I think I remember it very clearly. Actually, we were playing GB. I remember the first half you were untouchable. Like, they just could not get the ball off you. And for the most of the tournament, just playing unbelievable hockey. And then it was at Aslan Shah. So when you were kind of sledging it to, because Mike before, like, maybe there's
sorry, Malaysia.
Maybe there are some bad memories there. But do you remember the actual feel? Like, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but the actual feeling of what happened. You kind of jackknifed or what?
Yeah. So actually, a funny thing. Andy Philpott, one of the nicest guys alive. Passed me the ball that was in front of me, and I sort of lunged to reach it, ended up missing it by a long way, so I probably shouldn't have lunged. And my knee hyperextended, body went over the top, and I just felt a pop. I felt a pop in the middle of my hamstring, which is weird because it tore off the top. Tore off my hip. So I thought I'd just torn it, not torn it off the bone. But Andy Philpott was so sorry for passing me the ball, so upset that he passed the ball too far in front of me, and he was more upset than I was, I think, which is typical him because he's so nice.
That's classic. And he's a doctor, actually.
Yeah.
So he should have known better.
He should have.
But the other thing, he's probably one of the most enthusiastic hockey players ever. Like, he practices with 2 hockey sticks. And the only man I know that takes a spare hockey stick to go and play in the street while we're away on tournaments.
So, yeah. And I felt quite bad for him, actually, because he felt bad for he thought he made me tear my hamstring when it wasn't really his fault.
Yeah. Do you want to get that on record now? So it's not. Is it his fault? Or
It's not your fault.
I don't think he's ever going to listen to this. Anyway, there you go.
So I thought that was quite funny that he was more distraught than I was. But also Spoon was playing.
Dylan
Wallace-Spoon. And he came over and asked me whether I was cramping.
Dylan always gets cramps. Like, always. I remember playing 2013 here in Sydney at the International Youth Olympic Festival or whatever, and Spoon, like, he just could not play because he kept getting cramps in both his hamstrings. It was like that scene from
Ace Ventura.
When he gets shot with 2 arrows. When he gets shot with 2 arrows. That's Dylan Wallace-Spoon with cramps. Anyway, yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was a good experience. I had Potsy feeling very bad for me. Dill asked me if I was cramping, which for 10 seconds I was like, maybe it's a cramp.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a cramp. And then we won't talk about the...
No, we won't talk about that. And then we got to... so you got back to Perth, and at what stage was, like, how was the rehab? Because for people who don't know, like, 10 months in a high-performance environment, like, you move to Perth to play hockey, and all of a sudden you can't do it for 10 months. And I remember watching you doing lap after lap after lap and running, just endless running. It's not fun.
Yeah, it was tough at stages, but I think overall quite easy for a 10-month injury.
Sure.
Don't know why it was easy, but I just tried to hang around the boys as much as I could. There was times where you would finish training and I'd be in the change rooms just sitting there, obviously not getting changed because I didn't train, but I'd just sit there and talk to the boys. Just try to stay involved as much as I could. And also our SNCs, Dave Velli and BA, both great people, and spending a lot of... If you're going to spend time with SNC, it's going to be them. Yeah. Because that was pretty fun, although I hated Dave towards the end.
What did he make you do? Bad stuff.
Not bad, just the 400s, just running around an oval in a certain time. It's not fun.
No.
And he wouldn't give me any leeway. Wouldn't give me a few seconds extra rest or anything like that. He made me go on the second. And so he's lucky he's a good bloke, because otherwise
you'd hate him.
It wouldn't have been a good
True. You kind of have to be SNC for that long. I reckon it's kind of like I'm not sure whether the SNCs agree with this, but when you're in rehab, they kind of treat you a little bit differently. They're a bit nicer to you.
They have to.
You're spending so much time with them.
And you're just not playing. So you've got to... You're going to be in a bad mindset if you're getting sledged by the SNCs and not playing.
True. Is it because it's such a long time in rehab? Did it, like, mentally? What are the outcomes like? Because, you know, for example, these 400s, it's kind of like a non-negotiable. Like, you're going on the minute on the second to the second or whatever. Is it kind of like good brain training or good mental training? I didn't really think about it like
that. I think I'm a person that likes routine, so I didn't mind the knowing when I had to run and how long I was running for.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. I don't love running though. So the running part was not great, but the fact that I knew exactly what I had to do. I could prepare for it and just get through it rather than waiting to hear what I was going to be doing on the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I don't know, getting towards the end was probably the hardest bit because I felt like I could play, but I remember you had India or something, World League 4 at the end of the year, and there were so many injuries, and I was like, I feel like I could play, but they just didn't send me, which was probably a good decision.
Yeah.
But that was the hard bit where you know you're close, but you still got to do all the rehab running and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That's the rehab done. 2017, you were World League. Well, didn't go to World League. There was obviously the Commonwealth Games coming up soon after that, so maybe easier to kind of justify that decision. Or was that kind of what you were aiming for, or you were aiming for that World League berth?
I wasn't aiming for the World League. I just remember I was tracking well.
Yeah.
And there were heaps of injuries.
Yeah.
I think some guys from out of the squad had to be called in to play.
Yeah.
So I just thought maybe I was a chance to go, when realistically I wasn't. There was no way the SNCs were going to let me go play 7 games or 6 games or whatever it was in 2 weeks. So yeah, the goal the whole time was to be back for 2018.
Yeah. Home Commonwealth Games, pretty big.
Yeah.
So rehab, you said wasn't that bad as far as rehab goes. What about coming out of rehab?
Early on, I didn't know what people complained about coming out of injuries. I came back feeling great. Obviously, SNCs did a great job with me. And then, we played the Dutch in Narrogin and then Perth. Yes, we did. Played them 4 games.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to play all 4. I think they just wanted to see how I was going. And I was feeling fine. Maybe a bit of fitness was down after not playing hockey for a year, but hammy was feeling great. I didn't have any issues. And then as I went through, I started to get niggles. I got a nerve problem in my leg where the nerve had stuck to the scar tissue and it's just causing pain through my leg. And that was going on till the end of 2018, all the way through to the World Cup. So that was the hardest bit. When I got back and I was fine, so everyone thought I was over the injury, and then the niggles started to come back, and I tried to explain it to people, but it was quite hard to explain. And they just sort of kept saying that just keep playing, you'll be fine. You're not injured. So
tough. That
was the tough bit, when you're getting niggles that it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, that's tough. And what about mentally? I mean, playing international hockey, in my opinion, a lot of it is about just being mentally strong, confident in your own ability and that sort of thing. I know when I came back from long injury, it took a long time to kind of get back to that level. And I know it was kind of the hardest thing for me, I reckon, was the fact that you're back and you're playing, but you're not playing as well as you can play. And then it's just you start thinking, one, I was good, and that sort of thing. Did you have anything like that?
Yeah, it probably came with the niggles.
Sure.
I think I came back playing decent. Obviously wasn't at my best because I hadn't played for 10 months, but I was pretty happy with how I was going.
Yeah,
confident, happy to be back. Com Games was coming up, so I was excited. Went to Com Games, think I did okay. And then the niggles started to come along leading into the World Cup. Missed a few. I think I missed a couple. Got moved positions.
Yeah.
Moved into the AM and then to the striker.
Yeah.
Which I didn't love at the time. But now looking back, I wasn't playing great, so probably justified.
Yeah.
So that sort of killed my confidence.
Yeah.
Getting moved from a position I'd played for 2 years by that time. That was quite hard to deal with. And going into the World Cup, lost all confidence.
Yeah.
My hammy was sore.
Yeah, it sucks.
That part was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Then we lost the World Cup semi. I didn't feel like I played good the whole tournament. And so that got pretty tough towards the end of 2018, carried over into 2019. And then I can't remember what changed, but I just decided not to worry too much. I was playing striker, have some fun up there, and then started to get back into things. Yeah.
When I just want to kind of zone in on that kind of trough period, and I'm sure every elite athlete has something like that along the career, and any athlete really is going to have a period there where they're down on confidence and not playing the best they can be. Do you remember what it was like kind of day to day in there, or
I think I just got really frustrated at people in general.
Yeah.
Whether it's teammates or coaches. I was just getting frustrated I think I was more getting frustrated at myself, but I just took it out on what coaches were telling me to do, play striker. You're not playing midfield anymore, you've got to focus on playing striker. And I'm like, no, I'm not a striker, I'm a midfielder. And then just during training, if someone gets up you for doing something wrong, which most times you do wrong, you bite back a lot more when you're down on confidence, down on form, and you're just not having as much fun.
And then coming out of it, I mean, that's a fair while to be in that kind of cycle. Getting out of it, you don't know what happened, or was there a big mindset shift?
Probably started at the World Cup. Fitzy, our culture coach, just sort of said that, you got to sort of deal with playing striker. You know, everyone knows it's not where you want to play, but you're playing for the national team. You got to do what you got to do. So that sort of helped, and then he showed me what Moose and Ed, our co-captains, had said about me, and it was like, I'm a game changer. Like, skills are very good, something like that.
Yeah.
So just knowing that your leaders think that of you was really good.
Yeah.
I sort of wish he showed me that earlier. So it didn't take me 6 months to get out of it. But then it still even carried over into 2019. I still didn't love playing striker, although I'd sort of come to terms with it.
Yeah.
I still wanted to get back into the midfield,
Yeah.
which was sort of hard to do when you're playing striker because you're just locked in that role.
Yeah.
So it carried over then, and I think I just came to terms with playing striker.
Yeah.
Make the most of it.
Yeah.
Score some goals, hopefully.
Yeah.
Have some fun up there.
Yeah, for sure. I remember in your 100th game, we were playing in Japan. I don't know if you were playing striker or back in the midfield then, but I remember you scored a pretty sweet goal on your 100th. Do you remember, was that kind of around the time that you started to feel, it was probably a bit earlier than that, to be honest, because that was probably July, I'd say. And we had a lot of Pro League in the lead up to that, but was there kind of like a game where you kind of like found form again or something like that? Or was like a gradual?
I think it was more gradual.
Yeah.
Pro League was a bit tough to start with. It was, so coming out of the World Cup, I didn't play well there. So the start of Pro League in 2019, I was in and out of the team, which was fine because I wasn't playing my best. And then I started to get selected a bit more regularly as a striker, so I started to get confidence.
Yeah.
And then going to the end of the Pro League where we were playing in Europe and into the finals, that's when I just started to get a bit more confident. I was playing most games.
Yeah.
And playing pretty well.
Yeah. That's it for part A. See you soon for part B, where Flynn talks life on tour, indoor hockey, and alopecia. That's it for another episode of The Help Side. Special thanks to my production team of David Moore and Tim Collier, plus countless others working behind the scenes to get this to you. You're the real MVPs. Again, if you're liking the show, please like, subscribe, you know the drill, and get in touch with us via our socials. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, that's all, folks. See you next week.